Hayden literally believes using Serebii is cheating, and it's no different than using PK Hex or RNG abuse software, and a massive amount of the Pokemon community agrees with this sentiment to justify their cheating. It's that bad. Joe Merrick, the webmaster of Serebii, is partnered with the Pokemon Company to promote certain events. If Serebii broke Pokemon TOS, this would absolutely not be the case, which is why, if you ask Pokemon support, hey, can I use fan websites to get information? They say, yeah. So here's the reply. Thank you for writing to us with this question. My name is Rose, and I'm with the Play Pokemon Rules Compliance team. We understand that members of our community have come together to share their experience and knowledge with the games online. And though these resources are not created or endorsed by Play Pokemon, you may find them useful in aiding your understanding of game mechanics. So Pokemon Company support isn't going to endorse third-party websites. They're not going to come out and say, Bulbapedia is your official Pokemon source for Pokemon information, but they also do not forbid it in any way. The stupidity and evil of the Pokemon community has become truly incomprehensible, that I have 100% proven, beyond all doubt, that RNG abuse is against the rules, and it's so against the rules, it's repeatable. You contact Pokemon Company support, asking if you can use RNG manipulation software, and they say, no, it's unauthorized, and it's clearly unauthorized because it cannot exist without hacking. Flashbang warning, which is a violation of Pokemon TOS. Use or facilitate the use of any unauthorized third-party software, bots, mods, hacks, and scripts. Also, this is just an example. So just because it's not explicitly listed here doesn't mean it's allowed. Wow, the Nintendo company doesn't want you hacking or modifying things in any way. But then people say, oh, but it just tells you when to press the A button. There's no hacking. Well, except you have to hack into the game to decompose, disassemble, or reverse engineer any part of the service. You cannot create the RNG abuse tools without reverse engineering private game functions. And it's impossible to obtain these Pokemon without RNG abuse tools, which is why no one has ever legitimately gotten a Generation 5 Perfect IV Hidden Power Legendary Pokemon before, which is also why it's cheating, because it gives an insurmountable advantage to have perfect Legendary Pokemon, or even Shinies in Generation 5, and Shinies do give a competitive advantage because they were used for timer stalling, which was Wolf's primary strategy back in Generation 5, and even Generation 6. So every shiny Pokemon does give a competitive advantage, which means the astronomical impossible odds get even crazier on top of the just not possible perfect 6IV Pokemon that players were using back then. Which is why RNG software is against the rules. It's not hard. These are rules for a children's game, and we don't even need to dive into the Pokemon TOS to find this out because Rule 4.3 catches everything. The use of external devices to modify or create items or Pokemon in a competitor's battle team is expressly forbidden. Well, this includes breeding hacked parents. The Pokemon Company has confirmed you cannot use a hacked 6IV Ditto for breeding, that if you breed it with a caught or legally obtained Pokemon, the child is considered illegal. There is no difference between hacking a Pokemon and then hatching a Pokemon with hacked parents. So it's not like, oh, but that Pokemon wasn't directly created by the hacking programs. No, nothing suspicious, nothing cheaty is allowed at any point for anything involved with competitive Pokemon. Who would have guessed? And the rules already account for that. That I already knew. Yes, you can't breed hacked parents because of Rule 4.3, even though those are not the direct Pokemon you're using. No cheating allowed at all whatsoever in any possible way. But also turns out I'm a Blissey and the cheaters in the Pokemon community are liars and dishonest. Who would have guessed? Because the way everyone got their RNG seed back in the day, especially for VGC, was not through these legal means. That, yeah, it's possible to find your RNG seed without hacking sometimes, but the way people did it was with hacking tools. To find your SID, go to GTS and the freshly caught Pokemon to Pokecheck. So that was how people did it, and then we also have Ray Rizzo, like chat logs of Ray Rizzo saying, man, I miss Pokecheck. Which also got Sejun Park busted for using hacked Pokemon in Generation 5. Wow, everyone was just straight up cheating. It's not even the Magmar, it's every Pokemon Sejun Park used. Shiny and Flawless Black-White 2 breed, not possible even with RNG due to the static seed bug, was not RNG'd on Black and White as the egg met location is not link trade. So, shiny, flawless breeds, impossible, all these great things. Although nothing appeared invalid, the RNG checks were currently not implemented into Pokecheck. So yeah, like everyone was just using cheating tools the entire time for all points. And there was like no argument, there was no weaseling out of it because that's what the Rule 4.3 and TOS covers. So RNG has always clearly been illegal, and now we just have to go to something that's so stupid, I am not dumb enough to comprehend how anyone can make the false equivalency of, oh, well then that makes Bulbapedia and Serebii illegal because you can't see a Pokemon's stats without hacking tools. One, that's a lie because strategy guides straight up tell you how to get the best stats for your Pokemon. They will tell you EV training, they'll give you EV training locations, so that way you can actually reach that. They'll tell you what natures do, that natures will increase one stat and lower a different stat, even though you can also just observe that yourself. And then there's the in-game judge, which will tell you if a Pokemon's stats are the best. And then there's this really cool thing where an officially licensed and published strategy guide in 1998 had Pokemon's base stats. So now everything is completely deterministic about Pokemon stats, and another really important thing about this is that it's all public information. We can see a Pokemon's stats. We can see what we can do to influence a Pokemon's stats. There is no way of seeing the Pokemon's RNG functions, and there is no way of reverse engineering it to see, oh, 50,000 frames out is where I have my shiny perfect Pokemon. And that's trying to make the argument that looking up visible characteristics of a Pokemon and getting guide information is comparable to RNG manipulation, where you have to use external unauthorized software to reverse engineer private game functions to land on a 1 in trillions of odds Pokemon whenever you want. Trying to say like that's an equal amount of power and advantage, and that's why it's cheating to also look up a Pokemon or use Pokemon Showdown, which just is a program that makes all of this a lot more convenient, that we have all the public information about Pokemon, and then you can search it up and it automatically puts it into a team build. But nothing about that is against the rules at all. That's why the keyword is unauthorized. That you can go to third-party websites and use third-party tools, they just have to be compliant with the TOS, which, yeah, of course, a fan site like this that's just going to post the data of a Pokemon isn't going to violate the rules or draw ire of the Pokemon Company in any way. We understand that members of our community have come together to share their experience and knowledge with the games online. Sharing experience and knowledge does not violate anything in the TOS. There's no rules against it in the Pokemon VGC rules. So, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, these are just the desperate lies of cheaters and evil people to try to spin this into being the same as their cheating programs. And that's the weird thing, because by going, yeah, well, this is cheating too, well, that's an admittance that RNG manipulation is cheating. Now they're just trying to deflect and somehow compare this to RNG manipulation. And even that last bit, for information on what does violate our policies, please refer to Section 5 of our Terms of Use. So this is them straight up saying, like, yeah, that doesn't violate it. If you want to rehash on what could possibly be a violation, go to Section 5. And then that's where we also get the confirmation of RNG manipulation being against the rules. Please see Section 5 for more information on unauthorized third-party software. It's not hard. You don't need the Pokemon Company to hold your hand that much. And then idiots will also say, oh, but it doesn't say RNG tool specifically. They just say Section 5. One, the question asked debunks you, because if you go, hey, can I use RNG software? And they say unauthorized third-party software is not authorized, that's solved right there. Also, you have to be exceptionally stupid or dishonest to think that they're going to name the cheating program. That is not an expectation of support for any other form of competition ever. That if you contact Valve about a CSGO aimbot, they're not going to confirm the existence or acknowledge the exact name of the aimbot. That if I say, hey, is Pika Hex banned for Pokemon, they are not going to reply with a one sentence, Pika Hex is banned, RNG software is banned. They're going to use the rules and they're going to give you this kind of ruling to not directly acknowledge cheating tools. And also, as I brought up in the other recent videos, normal gameplay is a Pokemon legality clause, that if a Pokemon is not obtained through normal gameplay, it's not legal. And we start having to use external software and devices and all these crazy things to land on trillions of odds using invisible game data and software that can only exist through hacking and violating TOS. You no longer have normal gameplay in any capacity, duh. It's not hard, these are rules for a children's game. Blissey just continues to lie and be evil, who would have guessed? Hope you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day, thank you very much for watching.